Anthony Tony Jones was born on the 3rd of July 1962 in the city of Perth, the capital of Western Australia. In 1982, Tony worked as a lab technician who had a large, loving family and a girlfriend. From the beginning of Australia's winter, which begins in June, Tony began a 6-month working holiday. Working holidays in Australia offer travellers the chance to explore the country while earning money to fund their stay. The working holiday visa program is open to young adults from eligible countries and allows them to work and travel for up to a year, with the option to extend in some cases. Working holidays in Australia are not just for international travellers. Many Australians also take advantage of similar opportunities within their own country. Domestic working holidays allow locals to explore Australia's vast and diverse regions while earning an income. Australians often take on seasonal roles, such as fruit picking, hospitality work, or tourism-related jobs, in destinations like the outback, coastal towns, or tropical regions. These experiences provide a chance to immerse themselves in different landscapes, meet new people, and contribute to regional economies, all while exploring their own backyard. In late October 1982, Tony Jones and his brother Tim spent a week at the Sun City Caravan Park in Townsville, along with 2 fellow travellers. Located in Queensland, Townsville is a coastal city known for its proximity to the Great Barrier Reef and features attractions like Magnetic Island, the Strand waterfront, and a vibrant tropical lifestyle. While Tim began the challenging 900-kilometre or 560-mile journey to Mount Isa on October 28th, Tony decided to make a brief detour to Cairns. He stayed there for less than a week before planning to reunite with his brother. By November 1982, Tony was nearing the end of his working holiday across the country. His travels had taken him through Adelaide, Melbourne, Canberra, and Sydney before spending several months in Brisbane. On the 3rd of November, Tony was in Townsville. Tony stayed in regular contact with his family and spoke with them by phone on the evening of November 3rd, 1982. During the call, which was in a telephone booth on Bowen Road, he mentioned he was leaving Townsville and heading to Mount Isa via the highway to reunite with his brother within a day or two. He planned to journey along the Flinders Highway, a remote 906-kilometre stretch of road winding through empty bushland, rugged rocky landscapes, gorges, and the endless plains of the Australian outback. The phone call ended at 8:50 p.m, with his loved ones unaware that this would be the final time they would hear from Tony. He had also made a call to his girlfriend and promised he would be home by Christmas, then went on his way along the highway. Tony Jones failed to appear at Mount Isa and reunite with his brother. He was subsequently reported as missing to Queensland authorities by his mother. At the time of Tony's disappearance, the Flinders Highway had gained a troubling reputation due to the disappearances and murders of several young people along its route. One of the most notorious cases was that of student nurses Robin Hoynville Bartram and Anita Cunningham, who vanished while hitchhiking in 1972. In December of that year, Robin's body was discovered under a bridge on the highway, about 240 kilometres west of Townsville, having been shot twice in the head. While no trace of Anita was found, she is also believed to have been murdered. The killer has never been apprehended. Police identified several witnesses who confirmed that Tony was in the town of Hughenden on November 12th, where he is believed to have visited the Grand Hotel that evening. Investigations suggest Tony may have been involved in an incident at the hotel before his disappearance. A 20,000 Australian dollar reward was offered for any information leading to the identification and conviction of those responsible for Tony's disappearance, which was later suspected to have been a murder. Hughenden became a focal point in December 1982, when at least 5 locals claimed to have seen a young hitchhiker resembling Tony Jones over the weekend of November 12th to 14th. Police gathered statements and conducted inquiries, but it was revealed that one sighting described an Aboriginal man, another an Italian tourist, and the others a man with a full beard. One witness recalled speaking with someone she believed to be Tony at the Grand Hotel on November 12th, describing him as identical to his photograph, including a beard she called, quote, Abraham Lincoln style. However, since Tony had shaved his beard days before his disappearance, had not accessed his bank account, and failed to contact his family or girlfriend, lead investigator Detective Chris Lill dismissed all these sightings. Weeks passed and there was no new information regarding Tony Jones's whereabouts. However, in early January 1983, a potential breakthrough emerged, capturing public attention as it made headlines, raising hopes that new developments might finally shed light on his disappearance. On January 19th, 1983, police received a handwritten letter postmarked from Cairns and signed by the name Lochiel. The letter stated, quote, I believe body of A.J. Jones buried in or near Fullerton Riverbed within 100 yards west Southside Flinders Highway, Lochiel. Police conducted a 2-day search of the area but found no leads, ultimately dismissing the letter as a malicious hoax. However, Tony Jones's family remained unconvinced and pushed authorities to employ DNA profiling in an effort to identify the person who wrote the letter. In 2007, Queensland Police admitted that the mysterious letter, signed from Lochiel, had been unfortunately misplaced several years prior. Therefore, no further testing or analysis could be conducted. Police conducted an extensive investigation, which included around 60 witness statements and 270 inquiries. Several individuals of interest were examined, and numerous land searches took place in locations such as the Fullerton River, Cloncurry River, and the Hughenden slaughter yards. When Tony disappeared, he was carrying a fur .22 caliber rifle, serial number 257435, a large blue backpack with aluminium framing, a green sleeping bag, a one-man tent, and various personal belongings such as toiletries. None of these items have ever been found. A witness reported to police that he had met Tony Jones and an older man at the Rising Sun Hotel in Townsville. The older man had picked up Tony earlier and suggested they stop for food before continuing on to Charters Towers. The witness spoke with the pair, who shared their plans, and this was the last known sighting of Tony Jones. He later provided a detailed description of the older man, his vehicle, and distinctive scars on his arms to a sketch artist. However, it wasn't until the 2nd of November 1992, a full decade after Tony's vanishing, that police finally released an identikit image of the suspect. Within 48 hours, they received multiple tips suggesting the sketch resembled, quote, a former policeman, as described by the Townsville Bulletin, specifically Mervyn Henry Stevenson. Both the vehicle and scars described by the witness also matched Stevenson. At the time of Tony's disappearance, Mervyn Henry Stevenson had recently retired from a 35-year police career, rising from a rookie officer in the small town of Coen to superintendent of the Townsville Police District. While his career appeared distinguished, less than 2 years after retirement, his reputation was tarnished by allegations of corruption. A confidential police report accused Stevenson of involvement in cattle theft, failing to properly investigate drug-related crimes, and neglecting to address the suspicious suicide of a fellow officer. These accusations were handled internally and required the approval of Police Commissioner Terry Lewis, who dismissed the recommendations, leaving Stevenson uninvestigated. Mervyn Stevenson passed away in December 2001, remembered as a celebrated bush policeman and honoured with induction into the Australian Stockman's Hall of Fame, which recognises, quote, the pioneers of the Australian outback. In 2002, an inquest concluded that Tony Jones had, quote, died at the hands of person or persons unknown, but it did not identify any suspects. Frustrated by the lack of progress from the onset, the Jones family launched a persistent campaign to keep the investigation active. Their efforts ultimately led to the creation of Australia's Missing Persons Week in 1988. A death certificate for Tony could not be issued until 2006 due to the lack of confirmed place of death, a delay resolved only when Queensland law was amended. In 2007, the Jones family reviewed the inquest documents and were shocked to discover that key leads had been overlooked. Witnesses who came forward in 1982 were not interviewed until 2001, and some statements and evidence were either lost or dismissed. The investigation itself did not begin until 3 days after the missing person report was filed, which only happened after the grieving family travelled from Perth to Townsville to file it in person. Additionally, Tony's dental records were lost during the process. In 2010, the Jones family urged Queensland Attorney General Cameron Dick to reopen Tony's inquest. As part of the Walk a Day in My Shoes campaign, Tony's brother Brian sent Dick a pair of Tony's shoes with a note asking him to empathise with victims of Queensland crime. The gesture prompted Dick to reopen the inquest the following day. Backpacker murderer Ivan Milat was initially considered a person of interest in Tony Jones's case, but was later ruled out. Police testified during the inquest that evidence indicated Milat was unlikely to have been in the area at the time of Tony's disappearance. In 2000, a prisoner at Townsville Correctional Centre told police that his cellmate, Michael Laundress, confessed to murdering a hitchhiker near Mount Isa and burying the body. The prisoner only connected this to Tony Jones's case in 2011, a year after the inquest began and 18 years after the murder. Despite being a promising lead, the inquest faced significant delays and a change in coroner. Laundress died in October 2015 without providing a statement, leaving the inquest at a standstill. In 2011, the Jones family uncovered more evidence of police mishandling. A grazier revealed that in 1982, he and a retired officer found camping gear and a letter from Tony's mother at a Cloncurry campsite, 780 kilometres or 485 miles from Townsville, and handed them to police. The evidence was neither investigated nor preserved and is now believed lost. When the family learned of this decades later, it took 9 months for a search of the area to be conducted, yielding no results. 2 men from Hughenden, 350 kilometres southwest of Townsville, were implicated in a theory suggesting Tony Jones was killed during a fight and his body disposed of at the Hughenden slaughter yard. The inquest heard claims that one of the men had spoken about being involved in a killing, but both men denied any involvement with Tony Jones or the case. The hearings concluded in 2017, but the release of the findings was delayed due to legal challenges. As investigations continued, detectives from the Townsville Criminal Investigation Branch, known as CIB, were granted approval to raise the reward to 500,000 Australian dollars. The Jones family was shocked to learn that an Italian hitchhiker who may have crucial information had never been interviewed. It was reported that the Italian hitchhiker stayed overnight at a church in Hughenden along the Flinders Highway, roughly 10 days after Tony's disappearance near Townsville. The Jones family noted that the Italian hitchhiker bore a slight resemblance to Tony, and they worried that his appearance in Hughenden led some witnesses to believe Tony was still alive and lingering in the town, despite it being over a week since he had last contacted his family. In 2022, the Jones family shared with Under Investigation on 60 Minutes Australia their frustration over investigators' slow progress on key leads. Mark Jones, Tony's older brother, revealed how his family were left in the dark about any developments and stated on the day the reward was increased, quote, "We are utterly devastated to hear other details provided by the lead detective this morning, Brendan Stevenson, who has not contacted the family for 3 years. We continue to beg the coroner and the police to engage with us on the developments in this case." Taking matters into their own hands, they turned to social media to gather information. Their efforts led to contact with 3 women, each of whom had heard accounts of a murder that might be connected to Tony's case. Detective Sergeant Brendan Stevenson of Townsville CIB confirmed at the hearing that reports indicated that the Italian hitchhiker had stayed overnight at a church in Hughenden, leaving an address and phone number in Italy as his contact information. However, he stated that the Australian Federal Police, also known as AFP, had checked their database and found no record of the hitchhiker entering or leaving the country. It was alleged that the hitchhiker's name had been spelled differently in several documents, making it difficult to trace him. ABC reported that they identified the Italian hitchhiker and his information was passed on to the authorities. Detective Sergeant Brendan Stevenson stated, quote, "More than 40 years has passed now, and in that time, loyalties change. Any information, no matter how small or insignificant it may seem, could be the key to bringing closure for Tony's family. If you were in Hughenden or at the Grand Hotel on the 12th of November 1982, you may have seen something that could be crucial to this investigation. It is never too late to come forward. We are also urging anyone with any information as to the whereabouts of Tony's rifle or the identity of the person who posted police the letter from Cairns in 1983 to please contact police." Mark Jones said to News in 2018, quote, "Our lives have been on hold for too many years. My father is 93 and we want him to have some answers. The police got off to a bad start and never recovered. It is now an adversarial situation, and we bump up against the same problems over and over again. Intervention is required if this case is to be resolved, and the family of murder victims are to go back to their normal lives. Leaving such a complex case to regional detectives might have political benefits, but they have had a 36-year crack at this. We just need the right people to be watching and, where possible, get this investigation back on track." If you have any information regarding the murder of 20-year-old Tony Jones, you can contact the Queensland Police at the following link or call 131 444. Alternatively, you can contact Crime Stoppers anonymously at 1800 333 000.